So let's jump to 2020.
Okay.
You're Speaker of the House in Arizona. You've been campaigning with Trump. You voted for Trump. The results come in, Arizona goes to Biden, and you get a phone call from President Trump and Giuliani. What happened?
Well, I get the phone call. The chair, the president of the Senate had called and said, hey, the White House is looking for us. Don't do anything without me. Let's make sure we're correlating. And I said, yeah, great. White House, calling. They gave me the pitch. You're a great guy, great speaker. We've admired you from afar. Have you heard that line before? And I said, after they kind of got through all, I said, where are we going? What's going on? He said, well, we've got all this fraud going nationwide and in Arizona. I said, well, let's just talk about Arizona. 4,000 stolen military ballots, 14,000 dead people voted, 200,000 illegals voted, and I said, stop. Where are we going with this? Where are we going? Where are we going? And they said, well, if there's sufficient doubt in your mind, we're hoping that you will call the legislature back in and that you will let us prove with this that these things are sufficient to cause doubt about the election and that you can stop that election, that you can pull those electors from Mr. Biden and put in Mr. Trump's. So I said, hold on. I took an oath. I took an oath to the Constitution. If you have proof that there is fraud, I got to see the proof. I'm under the same obligation to act if you have proof that I would, also an equal obligation to act if you don't have proof. And the actions are in two different directions. But you got to have the proof. Have you got the proof of 4,000 stolen military? Yes. You got the names of the service people who had their ballots stolen? Yes. Have you got the names of the 14,000 dead people that voted? Yes. Have you got the names of 200,000 illegals? Yes. Then, Mr. Giuliani, I want those names and police put them on my desk. Because you don't have the proof. I'm not doing this. I've never heard of any such scheme.
Had that call, and pretty much the next step was for Giuliani to come back and give you some proof. So what happened next?
He came to town, so they put on this hearing, and I listened to part of it. And then he came to the Senate, Giuliani, and they said, Mr. Speaker, we need you to come over to the Senate because Mr. Giuliani's here and wants to see you. I said, do I have to go? He said, well, it's kind of Speaker, the President, she's asking us. If the President's asking, then I'll go. So I went, walked in, and there's Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, I think the lady's name, and some other people. And then there was the police chief of New York City, former, and some others. And they were talking deep in it, and Mr. Lynch and another one of the senators was just ripping them in half. And you're saying, I thought we were all Republicans here. We should all just get along and that we would be helpful. I said, time out. Mr. Giuliani, did you bring the proof? And he said, proof? I said, the proof. Do you remember our phone call? And you said you would bring me the proof? And he said, yeah, Jenna, did you bring the proof? And she goes, yeah. She starts going through some big valise thing. Oh, I don't have it here. It must, I said, do you remember what the proof is? The names of all those people. You were going to bring that to me. Oh, yeah. I think it's back at the hotel. I'm out of here. Thank you. That's the end of this conversation. And Giuliani, I don't know if it's a slip or what, but he said, we have lots of theories, but we don't have any evidence. Whoa. You got lots of theories, but no evidence. That's telling.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we're laughing now about it, but
yeah, I wasn't laughing then.
I
guess I was laughing then.
But there were some real consequences for your actions immediately following that.
Yeah, there were. But I can't tell you in what order. I do know that almost immediately. We wrote an op-ed and found out later that it was the first public official to say that in official forum in the country. That they came to town, they were asking a quite breathless request, and that was to basically throw the election without proof. And we laid out that in this country, it takes proof to take these actions, and that we weren't going to do it. And that Reagan had said, you know, the bulwark of our election is this transfer of power, and that we respect that, and we respect that basic, that while yes, we're a constitutional republic, but the undergirding democracy is that we elect people to represent us. And so that, then it really took off. I don't know if any of you remember a guy named Demand Daniel, and may he hear me in a loud voice. That he was quite a vociferous guy and had a following of very energized people, and so they and others started coming to the house. I presume you're talking about the parades.
Yes.
And they would come to our house and sit at the end of our driveway with bullhorns, and they had panel trucks with pictures of Bowers the pedophile, and drive around my neighborhood and to the local Fry's and the Costco, and they started running a recall campaign against me, and kind of promoting a side of me that I had not yet discovered. It was a very energized deal, and so that alone, there were some funny things. It was Christmas time, and we were meeting at the church down on McDowell Road, and I was playing the angel, standing up on the wall around the air conditioning units, dressed up like the angel, and Mary and Joseph were in a scene over here, and some Santa Claus, I think, showed up over here. But down the road comes this line of big, I call them MAGA trucks, these big pickups with the flags and everything. Here they come. And I'm going, oh, I know where they're going. And so I said, hey, the angel has to take a break just for a second, folks. And then I called MCSO and I said, you probably won't get there in time, but they're on their way to my house and I'm not there, so I need somebody. And so we laughed about the quick change of acting ability of the angels nowadays. They can multitask.
Well, and you had colleagues sharing all of your information.
Oh, yeah.
Email, phone, home address, everything.
Yeah. I don't know what you call that. There's some term for it,
Doxing.
but they did. And so my assistants, I had two assistants, were receiving 20,000 emails a day, 10,000 voicemails a day, 5,000 texts, etc. coming in. We just basically couldn't even communicate because it was just here, archive, here, all day long. So that kind of tied up the town thing. But my neighbors, I got to meet my neighbors in a whole new way. I have one neighbor, he's we jokingly, he calls me some very right-wing names, and I call him very left-wing names. And he's got a great motorcycle and fun guy. And he comes walking up, he goes, you and I don't see eye to eye on anything. But at least I know you're not a pedophile.
One of the things we wanted to get to is you had a choice to make, which was around, do you be complicit? Because the cost is going to be great. What was it for you that helped you decide, I'm going to do what you did?
Well, this question obviously is brought multiple times, and it's always been the same answer. I didn't prepare. I didn't say, when this day comes, I'm going to be ready to give this answer. Those things are part of your being, or they are not. I figured it out. I lean heavily on my LDS faith. I'm a believer. I'd like to even someday be kind of a disciple of Jesus Christ. I'm a believer, but I want to act like it. And so that's been from my youth. My Marine Corps dad, DI, tough guy. Just tell the truth, Rusty. Whatever happens, did you dump the milk out of the milk bucket? Yes. Okay, we're gonna go milk that cow again tomorrow morning, and you're not gonna do it tomorrow, right? You mean I'm not gonna get broken in half because of that? But from our youth, we can, by decision and by association with others thinking likewise, or support mechanisms of family and faith or community, or even older clubs and organizations, we learn to identify who we are. And in the dark of the night, we have the toothpaste test, right? When you're looking in the mirror, you're holding your toothpaste, and sometimes I actually do brush my teeth, I follow through. But who am I and how did I act today is kind of your interview. Did I do what was right? Where can I do better? Where can I retreat? Apologize. What do I need to do to be a little better tomorrow than today? Those things are what happens all through your life. And then when the phone call comes, it's all done. When they said, we want you to basically throw this election. I mean, they didn't use those terms. And in my mind, I could see it coming. Whatever you can see in your mind. But I could feel this feeling. They're going somewhere you cannot go. And that question, as it came out, this thing kept rising up until it just was, I have to say no. It wasn't like a nice angel in the back. You have to say no. And I just said, I can't do that. I worked for you. I walked for you. I campaigned for you. I was on the stage with you. But I will do nothing illegal for you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for